Does it really matter if you're a Sentai fan or a Ranger fan? I'll probably discuss this with you a little bit, but though this is probably a fanboy war between Sentai, Power Rangers, whatever. They're both the same, but from two different countries. I get it. Greetings, everyone, and welcome. Anthony Mars Jr. on PR Lost Galaxy 2014 with a new Terra Venture podcast within the Power Rangers fandom, bringing you podcast episode 147, presented by my self-devoted fan page on Facebook, and as well as my brand new fan page devoted to the PR Lost Galaxy 2014 YouTube channel as well. So check out PR Lost Galaxy 2014's fan page on Facebook as well, and also even including my Morphin Megaverse Power Rangers Facebook group and onwards. If you have not checked any of those, check them out now. I'm on the fence of something as I am about to start this topic of today. I know a lot of you right now, of the 183 people who have seen my video review on the Power Rangers short film that was released late last month, by Joseph Kahn. And I realized that a lot of you, of the 183 viewers that saw my review on the Power/Rangers Fan-Film, a lot of you are really pissed off because I said some really bad things about the fan film. And I have to admit that, well, you're free to have your opinion on the film. I mean, if you love the film, that's great. I understand as much as for anyone who's a diehard Mighty Morphin fan, and especially a Power Ranger fan in general, liked it, all because you wanted, well, this was a Power Rangers movie, you wanted a Power Rangers fan film or type of anything related to Power Rangers in general you wanted for so long. But I would be or wouldn't be so surprised when Lionsgate's Power Rangers movie comes out next year in summer 2016. They'll probably do it either for the kids or do it for all, demographics of by that range. But Joseph Kahn's Power Rangers fan film was mostly geared toward adults, and knowing that as if in his way he wanted adults, knowing that adults like violence and drugs and sex nowadays. Well, that's another topic when I do a video response to Joseph Kahn, if he will respond to my video, but not today. And pretty much likely, it's just by the tone of my voice on tonight's video, I am really beat after watching Power/Rangers, and I felt that, as much as I already stated that the film was a total disgrace to me as a longtime Power Rangers fan because of all that violence and blood, but the fan film will probably grow on me, and probably once when the MMPR fan film, the one that was supposed to come out 2 years ago, comes out this year, I'll probably give it a chance after 2 years of me bashing on that too. I mean, it seems like whenever I see anything Mighty Morphin related, it makes me want to wonder. I mean, the more Mighty Morphin stuff on it, I mean, the more I'll want to bash on it now just thinking about it. But I mean, I'm one of the few people who loved Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I mean, when Power Rangers started. Don't say I'm like one of those current millennial people who never grew up on Mighty Morphin or any other Power Ranger season after that, but only into the Neo Saban era, RPM, whatever season that I grew up on. I actually grew up in the 1990s and saw Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, grew up with it. So, as a longtime loyal fan of the Power Rangers franchise, why should I be bashing on Mighty Morphin? I stated that in about a video ago last year on this channel, where I actually do like Mighty Morphin, and then I started to grow on, and then the second bang on me saying that Mighty Morphin overrated. It's a yes or no sort of debate with me on that, but I can't even furtherly say. But in regards into this comparison piece based on the photo that I put together, a collage or a small mini collage regarding Power Rangers and Super Sentai, today's topic is, well, based on the annotation from previous video, is Sentai, or actually in full title, is Super Sentai is better than Power Rangers? That's the question based on today's video and by title. And in the image you see here, which is actually a collage I put together myself, there is an image that you see from left to right. The red Bioman, the Red Ranger from Dynaman, the Red Ranger from Jetman, the Zoo Ranger / Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Go Kiger / Power Ranger Super Mega Force, the Go Busters, the Tokyugers, and one of the Ninjers, which is actually the Red Ranger of the current Super Sentai series, Ninja. I wanted to do a ultimate Super Sentai Power Rangers collage, but I decided to pick a couple of Rangers that I feel that people find the more popular, especially with the Mighty Morphin / Zoo Ranger and the Jetman team and Go Buster featured, and even Go Kiger, well, hell with Super Mega Force, and Tokyuger and the Red Ranger from Ninja in this small collage I'm going to do that I'm showing off. You're probably wondering the same question, because I feel that this question had been brought up a couple of times, floating around in forums, or actually something that fanboys will rage upon, if Power Rangers is better than Super Sentai, or Super Sentai is better than Power Rangers. Let's see. The difference is Super Sentai has been around for 40 years. When knowing this year in Japan marks the 40th anniversary of the very first Super Sentai series, Himitsu Sentai Go Ranger. So the official 40th anniversary won't happen until 2016 next year. I hope the 40th anniversary will probably be like Go Kiger or Gal Ranger, but we'll find out. But whereas Power Rangers, we know, according to that, starting with Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and onwards, Power Rangers has been around for over 22 years now. Come Dino Supercharge, 23 years. So it's likely that the 25th anniversary will be in 2018 instead of 2017, 2 years from now, as far as I'm concerned, by year gap, since the Neo Saban era. With the show with Power Rangers on Nickelodeon, we understand ever since starting with Power Rangers Samurai, we are so behind on the Sentais that we should be following, while we have the Power Ranger counterparts of the preceding year. Like, what if we, instead of having that god-awful MMPR revision in 2010, what if we had Samurai in 2010, or if Disney would do Samurai instead of Disney, shitting on us with the show, with that god-awful revision of MMPR Season 1 after RPM. And actually, Disney should do an agreement to buy have Saban buy the rights back quickly, so that way, actually after RPM, so that way Saban can go ahead and do Power Rangers Samurai for 2010. And then we would have Megaforce in like 2011, 2012 or something at the time. Then a possible Go Buster adaptation for 2013, but it's not an anniversary season. Then we would have, Dino Charge in like 2014, but no. Then a Tokyuger adaptation, and then Ninja the following year. But unfortunately, 2011, 2012 was Samurai, Super Samurai. 2013 and 14, Megaforce, Super Megaforce. 2015 and 16, Dino Charge and Dino Supercharge. End of story. Because, we've been having this drifting 2 year behind thing ever since. Well, I would have to take the blame not only on the MMPR 2010 revision, but I would have to blame it on RPM. Because, RPM was the last season of Power Rangers that caught up with its Sentai predecessor the following year. While starting with Samurai, we started having problems being so behind on Sentais. And in between Super Mega Force and right now with Dino Charge, it is hard to see either if we'll have future adaptations of Go Busters and Tokyuger and Ninja no time further soon. But unfortunately, in Dino Charge, currently there is elements of Go Busters included, but is it possible that the Go Buster costumes will be used? Unfortunately, the answer is a definite no. We are not going to get the Go Buster suits. But though, as you know, I have to take back everything I said about Go Busters. It's actually a good Sentai. But I'm just only going to say that because even though I never saw the whole series, I only seen at least 2 of Go Busters' films. One being one of their films prior to them teaming up with the Q-Ryugers, and even the Go Busters that even appeared in the Super Sentai versus Kamen Rider Superhero Battle Tyson. I think that was the name of the crossover between both Tokusatsu productions, which was a massive milestone for Toei's biggest popular franchise of Super Sentai and Kamen Rider, and having every Kamen Rider, every Super Sentai team all in one movie against an ultimate alliance of evil in that film, and the Go Busters were included. You know, I did not like the Go Buster costumes or anything. Well, actually, what started to grow on me in terms of regarding Go Buster is the suits. Although when Go Buster came out, I did not like like I stated in past videos last year regarding Go Busters, if it was adapted into Power Rangers after Super Mega Force last year, I said that Go Busters, was a crap Sentai. I felt Go Busters was the worst Sentai ever. I was mainly going by what Saban said and what I heard from what Toei said, saying that Go Buster being the lowest rated Super Sentai show since O Ranger, which Power Ranger Zeo was based on in Japan. And probably, I can't think of another Sentai that also had the lowest ratings next to Go Buster. Oh yeah, Q-Ryuger. The current Sentai counterpart to Power Rangers Dino Charge also had low ratings in Japan as well. I'm not quite sure here in America if Power Rangers Dino Charge has higher ratings here in America than its Sentai predecessor in Japan. Not quite sure. But I do know that the toy sales for Power Rangers Dino Charge is doing very well here in America, whereas whereas the toy sales for the Q-Ryuger toys from Japan, I don't quite know. I don't keep up with the ratings, toy sale numbers. I'm not that good in economy stuff. Okay, I'm just not good at that. But however, again, in this collage, I had to put down a couple of teams to represent what are the top greatest Super Sentai and Power Ranger teams, and with Mighty Morphin being the number 1 greatest. I'm just going to go by Mighty Morphin Sentai name. What is the top greatest Sentais, excluding the new Sentai Ninja? Have to exclude the Red Ranger from there. And Tokyuger, because I don't think there is barely anyone I know that likes Tokyuger. I had to put down Bioman, Dynaman, because despite the fact Dynaman had a parody, U.S. parody that aired in the 1980s, part of the Flight Night block on the USA Network back in the 1980s, so that's why I put Dynaman down here. Jetman, as far as I heard, Jetman is indeed the most popular Super Sentai series ever, although however, I've only seen at least 6 or 7 episodes of Jetman. Well, actually here on YouTube, because, by the time YouTube was flagging a lot of Sentai episodes, because a lot of people were uploading Super Sentai episodes here on YouTube, because knowing Toei, like I stated back in my Zoo Ranger DVD release video concern, that Toei doesn't want us uploading Sentai over here, otherwise they will take us down and hunt us down and give us a whole bunch of copyright strikes, and our accounts are screwed. And then after Jetman is, of course, Zoo Rangers / the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And I also have to include the Go-Kaigers, also known as Super Mega Force, or Super Shitty Force, if you will. Go Busters, the Tokyugers, and... actually, I think Go Busters, although despite it being the lowest rated Sentai, I think, from what I hear, it has a lot of popularity here in America than it is in Japan, because I hear that us Americans like Go Buster. Whereas the Japanese, I mean, just because the Japanese doesn't like it doesn't mean we do, or in other words, just because we like Go Buster doesn't mean the Japanese doesn't. And same go for ToQger. Although Haim Saban, however, over at Saban Brands, has an issue with ToQger, and that's why he's not going to adapt it into a Power Ranger season, because of the problem of ToQger's preschoolish design with the trains and everything else. But is likely possible to bring Ninja into a Power Ranger season after Dino Supercharged, because if Saban is going to skip ToQger, then he's probably going to go with Ninja, or if Ninja doesn't do so good, then he's going to have to go with the 40th anniversary Sentai to be the official 25th anniversary series of Power Rangers. But this also begs the question. But is Super Sentai really better than Power Rangers, or is Power Rangers better than Super Sentai? Well, as I look back at Power Rangers now, okay, before any of you criticize me about me saying I like Super Sentai more than Power Rangers, this is just my opinion. As I look back at every season of Power Rangers, from Mighty Morphin all the way to Dino Charge right now. Well, except for Dino Charge. From here, Dino Charge is doing very well. That's why I'm going to continue doing my vlog series until I get off my 2-3 day hiatus after that train wreck of a fan film. I have to get over that. Well, Power Rangers had far more cheesier moments than Sentai does. Okay, at least that's one thing. Although in seasons like Power Rangers Zeo and Power Rangers in Space and Time Force, there had been some really dark moments in the show. So, actually, also including Mighty Morphin Season 3, there were some really dark moments. Like, what do you think in Season 3 of MMPR? One of the darkest moments ever scarred within Season 3 within the history of the show was when Rito destroyed the Thunder Zords. That was a dark moment. What about when Lord Zed came into the command center? When he had Kimberly captured and Zordon and the Rangers found out that Lord Zed, the first and only time we'll ever see him in the Rangers command base of operations ever in the show, was also a dark moment. What about when the command center blew up at the end of Mighty Morphin? Why do you think that was a dark moment? Even in Power Rangers Turbo, when Divatox sent her Piranhatrons to blow up the power chamber, that was a dark moment. Countdown to Destruction in Power Rangers in Space, that was a dark moment. So yes, Power Rangers really did have some really dark moments, as much as Super Sentai does. But I feel that Super Sentai, well, actually in the eras that each respective Sentai team was in, there were some really dark Sentai teams. I feel that the top 5 or so Sentais that were the darkest among any would have to be Jetman, partially Zoo Ranger, O Ranger, Go Buster, and actually just those 4. Jetman, Zoo Ranger, O Ranger, and Go Buster. They were like the darkest Sentais ever. Actually, I don't even think, well, as far as I've seen Zoo Ranger, the predecessor of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Zoo Ranger has had some really dark, themes underlying in the show. Like when we saw the introduction of the character of Burai, aka the Dragon Ranger, aka Mighty Morphin Green here. Why do you think Burai had a very tragic backstory, and what inflicted him to want to, when he was put under a spell by Bandora and wanted to kill his brother Geki? Because he wanted to avenge his father's. Because Burai wanted to avenge his father's death, and takes the blame on Geki for it and such like that. Even another dark moment from Zoo Ranger when Burai dies, and even though that was a very depressing moment, and knowing that Super Sentai can be a bit is always been dark, much compared to its sister series Kamen Rider. Because look at Kamen Rider. Kamen Rider is very dark. It had some really dark moments. I don't know any lighthearted moments Kamen Rider had. Though in Sentai teams like Go Kaiger and ToQger, you have those lighthearted moments going around here and there, but not always. I also have to think I should classify Go Kaiger as a dark Sentai series, but still celebrating 35 years of Super Sentai 4 years ago. But if I was, I would definitely have to if Gokaiger counts to a degree to be one of the darkest Super Sentai shows, but yet Gokaiger is the most popular currently Sentai show since Jetman or Zoo Ranger. But we know that Go Buster, the Sentai that came after Gokaiger, Go Buster, although not as successful as Gokaiger, it was a very intense, dark series from what I heard from a lot of people that seen the show. Although I still didn't care for the show, but I still appreciate that it had a dark tone. ToQger, on the other hand, when I saw ToQger last year up to this year, when I first saw ToQger, it was actually lighthearted, to start off for a couple of episodes. Became the latter final quarter of the ToQger series, it was getting very dark with the show. As the show was about to come to a drawing conclusion, it was really dark. And I was like, wow, that's really intense. And then also seeing Wright, who is ToQ1, ToQ Red, or whoever you like to call him, when he was turned to this glittery black version of himself, in morphed in Henshin form in the last couple of episodes, that was some really tense stuff right there. But as far as lighthearted Sentais, now Power Rangers can have some dark seasons and lighthearted seasons at the same time, but still has that cheese factor since MMPR in some seasons, but it will never have the same type of cheese factor Mighty Morphin has. Enough said. There are a couple of Sentais that have been lighthearted through and through, like Car Ranger and I think Hurricaneager was a little lighthearted. That's why Ninja Storm didn't really take itself seriously here. Even Abba Ranger was a little lighthearted. Maji Ranger was lighthearted, but also had some dark themes underlying. But I feel that ToQger was the most lighthearted Sentai out of all the Sentais of the bunch in a mix in between that has ever been lighthearted. But with the new Sentai Ninja, that is starting to feel like how Kaku Ranger and Hurricaneager was being lighthearted. So this is the third lighthearted and just ninja shinobi type themed Sentai in a row, where despite the ninjas, with ninjas with bright colored suits on, it's always it's going to be another yet lighthearted show ever. No joke. What else can I put delicately about this? But when really is Sentai really better than Power Rangers? Well, I'm out of place here. Sentai kind of is better than Power Rangers to a stance, but I wouldn't fully say Super Sentai is better. Now, if you do say Super Sentai is better than Power Rangers, that's your opinion. But personally, I didn't know nothing about the history. The history with me was how I discovered the predecessor of Power Rangers when I didn't know that Power Rangers was a Japanese thing. How I discovered it was on Wikipedia when I was somehow randomly searching up on the internet back in 2008. When I started looking up stuff on Wikipedia, and how I discovered that site, reading since Wikipedia is an encyclopedia, internet encyclopedia and all of stuff. But when you look at as soon as I looked up on Wikipedia, when I started looking up Power Rangers on Wikipedia, because actually at a time when I was getting tired of Power Rangers, I started to find something a bit odd and interesting about the show. As far as it was going on at the time of Jungle Fury's run, or before it was about to wrap up, that I did not know Power Rangers was based on Super Sentai, this Japanese show with these multicolored heroes in spandex with giant robots, blah blah blah, fighting evil intergalactic forces of evil. We get the gist. Even Power Rangers, Power Rangers has the same concept as Super Sentai. Super Sentai has the same concepts as Power Rangers, but Sentai came first, Power Rangers came afterwards. Well, actually 2 decades afterwards. And knowing Super Sentai the difference is Super Sentai lasted for 4 decades, Power Rangers lasted for only 2. Super Sentai has a lot of movies. Power Rangers only has 2, but is about to have 3 films come to 2016 reboot. Super Sentai has a line of action figures for each season. So does Power Rangers. If Super Sentai has a couple of video games released, so does Power Rangers, but a little less minimally. If Super Sentai, well, say for Jetman, has a graphic novel adaptation, Power Rangers had comic books, but somehow was discontinued, came Turbo or so, and started to go back with the comic book stuff, came last year in 2014. If Power Rangers had, if Super Sentai had a stage show, of their respective teams, Power Rangers did the same, but mostly stage shows for Mighty Morphin, and no other team had a stage show since. So, pretty much there you have it. Nothing else to say. And then also the difference between the two shows, and also in terms of villains. We all know in Power Rangers, we've had American-made villains like Lord Zed and Astronema and Rancic and Lothar around. And we know the reason why these why our show of each respective Sentai following Zoo Ranger, when there is a villain in any Super Sentai that each Power Ranger is based on, excluding season 1 of MMPR, since they used every villain from Zoo Ranger for season 1 and onwards throughout the franchise. But I'm talking about American-made villains, which gives the show a much rather American feel. Whenever there is a villain in Super Sentai what Power Ranger teams are based on. When there's a villain in the Sentai that is about to be adapted into a Power Ranger season, is either one being a bit too grimdark for Power Rangers, but even though Lord Zed was a dark villain and so was Lothar, actually not Lothar, Mesogog and Rancic, Power Rangers does the same thing. But knowing that Sentai villains of the Power Ranger counterparts, there are some villains in Sentai, like let's say Die Ranger to start off with. Since Die Ranger was the first post Zoo Ranger season, to be adapted into Power Rangers, but partially, but only picking up the White Ranger costume, the Thunder Zords and Monster and Zord footage only for that, and certain elements from Die Ranger. Is because the villains in Die Ranger were leather-clad, characters, and they didn't have a rubber monster suit or anything to be the main villains, except for the lead villain that would be revealed at the end of Die Ranger to be used for Master Org's costume in Power Rangers Wild Force. And even there are some villains in Sentai's like Hurricaneager and Abba Ranger, because some of the villains' aesthetics in those respective Sentais just didn't phase well for both Ninja Storm and Dino Thunder, and even especially for female villains. Reason why the following female villains, starting with Zonette from Car Ranger, had to be readapted into female characters like Astronema and Divatox in the Power Rangers production is because, like I mentioned, the actresses that played female characters like that, like of course Zonette, Shibalina, Shalenda, and the rest, is because those actresses were in Japanese porn films. That's why female villains in the American productions of Power Rangers, like Divatox, Astronema, Trachina, and Tenaya 7, were created. And also because I feel that what Power Rangers does compared to Super Sentai that is farly unique is that, unlike a couple of Sentais where they use following Zoo Ranger and onwards, the only season to ever have American-made Power Rangers, the first season to do so was Lightspeed Rescue with the Titanium Ranger, because I was about to say Go Buster or Go Kaigoro over there right at to this moment. That is because the Sentai that Lightspeed Rescue was based on, Go-Go 5, did not have a 6th Ranger. They had a Ranger-like extra ally with gold armor, black tights, who looked to be more the fit suited for a Kamen Rider or whatever, but knowing Kamen Rider was discontinued around Black RX. Post Black RX, so many years past at that time frame. and that's why they created the Titanium Ranger. And then when Jungle Fury came along, Geki Ranger didn't have the Spirit Rangers. That's why Disney took the advantage to create 3 American-produced, Rangers to fit in the Jungle Fury slot. And it's possible that even for RPM, although in only the following 3 Palomax Rangers that were exclusive for the toy line should have appeared in the show, and although for those who are fans of RPM are probably pissed off that the following 3 Palomax Rangers didn't get adapted into RPM, but yet they were featured in the toy line for RPM. And also, I mean, the thing is, if you have the Palomax Megazord, where are the Palomax Rangers? That's the thing. So I do think that Sentai, I feel that Power Rangers had some sort of creativity with their show than Super Sentai would ever have. But what I know greatly, Super Sentai, there's some things in the Japanese version that Power Rangers would never have. I mean, the stuff that, although Super Sentai is targeted at the kids as well, but unlike Power Rangers, Super Sentai has some really dark, mature, adult themes there than Power Rangers do, because whereas Power Rangers, as far as known since MMPR, has always been geared toward children and teenagers, at the age of 13, 14, so. And when you think about the adult themes in Super Sentai, themes, where you have scenes where you have characters end up in violent, tragic ends, and you had characters bleeding during fight scenes or wherever. You had characters in Sentai where they cuss at times. Well, when knowing Super Sentai, I think that's one of the best things about why people like Sentai more than Power Rangers. I mean, whereas in Power Rangers, you don't even hear anyone on our version of the show ever cuss. Well, there is one curse word that has ever been used in Power Rangers, and that was only in Turbo, a Power Rangers movie, where Divatox said the word hell once, and it was Hell's Bells. That was the first time we've ever heard a villain or any character in Power Rangers use a curse word, and have not used a curse word like that since. Whereas Super Sentai, you hear a lot of cussing, you see violence, you see violent character deaths, though there's no nudity. Well, say for for one time when I was watching an episode of Zoo Ranger, there was a naked child not wearing like a small pull-up diaper, underwear, or whatever, and that kid was naked, and I was like kind of embarrassed to see. So, though I can't even think of the name of a Kamen Rider show of this era, where when a Kamen Rider is defeated, that character, that respective Kamen Rider returns to civilian form, passes out naked. I'd rather not talk about that. So, and the thing about the pre-Zoo Sentai mechs as well. The mecha in the early era of Super Sentai, in my opinion, when I think about when I see photo scans on the Super Sentai time capsule website, Ranger Wiki, and when I look at those mechs, except for the Jetman mech, I'll go with the Jetman mech and say that the mecha for Sentai's like Go Ranger, actually Go Ranger didn't even have mecha, or even Battle Fever J. I don't think. For Sentai's to have mechs back in those times, like the late 70s, early 80s era of Super Sentai, when I look at those mechs, I understand they wasn't really all that high advanced like today's Super Sentais, but in Sentais like Sand Vulcan, Dynaman, Bioman, and those Sentais, Denziman, and such, I don't even think those mechs are very outdated, and by the way how they look, I understand Japanese robots were more simplistic back in those days, but in times today, they are more advanced looking. That's why I prefer Sentai robots in today's world that will become, the Megazords, of course, and Power Rangers, to be either to please me or to displease me by their designs and functions and capabilities. Were there any theme songs in Super Sentai that I liked? Actually, there are only 3 or 4 Super Sentai theme songs I actually had jives and grooves for. Actually, if I would go ahead and say what are my top 4 favorite Super Sentai theme songs, or 5, I would say Jetman, Zoo Ranger, Die Ranger, Kaku Ranger, and Go Kiger as my top 5 favorite Super Sentai theme songs. But I do have to say that my top 2 favorite Sentai themes are Die Ranger and Kaku Ranger, because I can rock to their theme songs real good. Actually, especially with Die Ranger, well, that was the first Super Sentai theme song I ever listened to, following my exposure to Sentai 5.5 going on 6 years ago, when I started using YouTube. Although I didn't have a YouTube account till again 2011, so that's when I didn't starting about Sentai and all that crap. Still followed Power Rangers onwards. I am really pretty speechless, and that's pretty much about some of the things about Sentai versus Power Rangers. But in conclusion, in final thoughts, I feel that this comparison. Well, they're both, two different shows, 2 different cultures, in 2 different countries. They're both unique in their own right. But I would have to say that the verdict, as much as I love Power Rangers, I would think I would have to go with Super Sentai for, as a final verdict, that Super Sentai is better. Though I do appreciate certain theme songs in Power Rangers, like, of course, the iconic Go-Go Power Rangers theme song from MMPR, the Mega Force theme song, Dino Chargers theme song, and Power Rangers in Space's theme song, even Zeo's theme song, where the theme songs in Power Rangers were, there were some themes that I did not like, and some I did. Super Sentai, not much, but I said that the 5 that I do like is Jetman, Zoo Ranger, Die Ranger, Kaku Ranger, and Go Kiger is my top 5 favorite theme songs. So, actually, my final verdict between the 2 shows, who is better and who isn't, is a little bit inconclusive. So, this is going to be the only podcast following, my post, fan film review on Power/Rangers. I will have the comment section open. So, in final thoughts, do you guys prefer Sentai over Power Rangers, or you like them both, or you just like Power Rangers only and don't care for Sentai? I'm just going to shut this video off for the night. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Following next week's video, comments will still be disabled, because if you don't have nothing nice to say, I'm going to have to come up with a new rule about the comments on my channel and videos. And, well, everybody has the freedom to say what they want, but you know what I mean. So let me know what you guys think, and I'm all for now. So this is Anthony March Jr. on PR Lost Galaxy 2014. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe, drop a like, so forth. And my discussion here on Terra Adventure within the Power Rangers fandom at large is now over. Thank you, and good night.